Hello, happy new year. It is 2025. This is my first video of the year, so welcome. I hope you had a lovely Christmas, a lovely New Year's. I hope you're excited for 2025. New goals, new reading goals, new travel goals. I am excited. I had a pretty good 2024. We're going to be looking back at 2024 today. We're going to be doing a little wrap up for the year, going through my final reading stats, my 5-star reads, and just generally looking back at what I got up to in 2024 because it was a pretty good year. It was definitely a very mixed year. I had a lot of highs and some quite low lows, but it ended on a good high generally. Like I just had a good break and just generally enjoyed the year. When I'm looking back on it, it was a good year. So hopefully 2025 can be equally as good. We'll be talking about a couple of 2025 goals as well and going through all of that. This part of the video is sponsored by Stella Bookish Art, who sells a range of bookish stationery in their online shop. They are a one-woman band and they do some beautiful designs across a range of different products, including t-shirts, hoodies, notebooks, washi tape, bookmark, prints, reading journals, all sorts of things. They're gorgeous. They have sent me through a couple of bits to show you, and I also have a discount code that I will talk about at the end of this sponsored section of the video. I'm going to pop my microphone here. Hopefully you can hear me okay there. So we're going to start off with some of the little postcard prints that they have sent through. I especially love this one because I love the rainbow text. It says, "Between the pages of a book is a wonderful place to be," which is very correct. So these are little postcards, but you can also use them as prints. I also have some bookmarks. Again, the little rainbow book stack with loads of different genres on it as well. These are really, really gorgeous. All double-sided. I love them. These little notebooks, I always carry a little notebook with me at all times because you never know when you're going to need a little notebook, and these are the perfect size to fit in your pocket or a bag, so you can never have too many of these little notebooks. And this is really cute. It's lined. It's really nice quality as well. Let's talk about the washi tapes. This one is stamps. It's so cute. It's little stamps. I've always wanted one of these. I keep seeing people using them in scrapbooking and things, and they just like, you can tear off the little stamps. It's very cute. This one is celestially themed, black and gold. It's very pretty. And the pièce de résistance is the reading journal. This is the Written in the Stars reading journal. This has so many different spreads in it. You've got spaces to log your TBR, to do wrap-ups, to look at the individual reviews for your books. There's places to plan what you want to read for the whole year, what you want to buy for the year, your wish list, the pre-orders, what's coming out when. It's got so many different spaces in it. It has a little gold bookmark, which is always useful. You can write your favourite quotes in. Everything is designed so beautifully. A little planner, little pages just for everything that you could possibly think about. I want to show you one of the review ones, so you can do your book reviews in here, your wrap-ups. There are so many things thought out here. It's just really, really beautiful and really well designed. You can have your monthly favourites. It's so pretty, and if you're somebody that likes to write down your reviews rather than have them typed, or maybe you write them before you type them, maybe you do both, this is definitely worth checking out. You can use my code NEST15, which is NEST15, to receive 15% off everything in the Stella Bookish Art shop up until the end of February. I will leave a link down below to everything you need. Thank you so much, Stella Bookish Art, for sponsoring this part of the video. To start with, I think we're going to look back at the travel that I did in 2024. I visited 7 different countries in 2024. Which I think might be a record for me. I think that might be the most amount of countries in a year that I have visited. I've just done so many great trips and so many fun new experiences. I started off, the first trip that I did was in May, and I drove up to Scotland, which was just so much fun. I did a road trip with the same group of people that I went to Vietnam with, and it was so silly and so brilliant and just made me laugh so much. We went to the Isle of Skye. We stopped over in Glasgow to see Lauren, who's my best friend. And then we went up to the Isle of Skye, and oh my God, that place, it's like a dream. There is nothing like the Isle of Skye. I would love to go back immediately. Like, it was, you just couldn't get enough of it. It felt like you were at the edge of the world. You just got to look over the sea, these beautiful, beautiful environments and these cliffs, and it just felt like everything was infinite in the Isle of Skye. It was just absolutely awe-inspiring. I love Scotland so much. It's just such a beautiful part of the world. If you ever get the opportunity to visit Scotland, especially the Isle of Skye, take that opportunity. I mean, it's just gorgeous. I can't sing its praises enough. Hopefully the footage that you are seeing right now shows you just how absolutely gorgeous it was. I mean, bringing my drone there as well was really cool. I got the drone at the end of 2023, at the end of 2023. And there's definitely some anxiety that comes with flying a drone because you are sending something up into the sky that is quite expensive and could get decked by a bird quite easily. But I think I really started to overcome some of that drone anxiety when in Scotland, because Tom, who was on the trip with us, also had a drone. So we were able to pick good spots to fly together, like obviously safely and not in the same direction or same area, but we were able to generally pick those spots, and I felt a little bit safer and more confident doing it when someone else was also doing it. So that was really cool. Scotland was amazing. Then I went back to Scotland. I drove up. I was doing a wedding shoot in the Lake District, wedding photography, and then after that wedding I drove up to Glasgow to spend Lauren's birthday with her for a few days in Glasgow. So that was really good fun as well. So 2 drives up to Scotland this year. And then when I got back from that trip, we went to Edinburgh as well, did a bookshop tour. It was really good fun. After I got back from that trip, I then immediately went on a little European road trip with my friend Jacob. So we flew to Poland, to Krakow. We spent a couple of days in Krakow. It was amazing. I really, really loved that city. It was just such a cool experience. We got to go to the theme park called Energylandia in Poland, which was really fun as well. We're both big fans of theme parks, so that was really good fun. And then from Krakow, we then drove to, we've got to get the order right. First off, we went to the Czech Republic, to Brno, where we stopped over for an afternoon. We got some lunch there and had a little walk around that city. It was really beautiful. It was a very fleeting visit, but it was really lovely to see it. And then from there, we drove to Bratislava in Slovakia, where we stayed for probably about 24 hours, but it was an overnight thing. So we went there and had a little bit of a mooch about that city in the evening. That was also beautiful. That one felt like a toy town to me. Like, it was so perfect, and everything just it just gave me Toy Town vibes. I don't really know why. Really, really recommend Bratislava. It was just really gorgeous, and it felt very calm and relaxing being there as well. We had such good food there, so that was a great trip. And then from there we drove to Vienna in Austria, and we stayed in Vienna for, was that 2 days? It was a really fleeting trip. Basically, we were doing 4 countries in 6 days, so everything was happening very quickly, but we spent the most amount of time in Poland. But Vienna was also really lovely. It kind of had a little bit of a London vibe to it, with more of the old city being brought into it. But again, really enjoyed being able to see Vienna and drive across all of these places as well. That was a whole other experience to be able to, I mean, I'm saying drive. I was the passenger princess for this trip. We got a car that we were renting, so it made sense to just have one of us doing the driving. I'm saying this, I was just happy to be a passenger princess. I'm usually the driver for a lot of trips, and I had just done the drive back and forth from Scotland, so I was very happy to just sit and be driven around Europe. After we were done in Vienna, we then drove back to Poland to fly home. That was a great trip. I love that so much. I'm hoping this year to do something similar, obviously to different countries, but to do another probably European road trip, because it was just such a fun way to see everything and have the freedom of having the car as well. I loved it. And then to round off my travel for the year, in October, I went to Cyprus with my family for 10 days. That was the trip I needed so badly for a relax. Like, everything I have been doing over the last year up until that point, including like my visit to Vietnam and South Korea, every trip I'd taken had been really centric on like busy and seeing and doing everything, which was really fun, and I love doing those kind of trips. But I needed a break and I needed a relax, and that was what Cyprus was. It was basically 10 days, some of the days exploring the island, a lot of the days sat by the pool reading. I read so many books, so many amazing books, a couple of which will feature in my 5-star wrap-up for this video, and it was just such a good time, and I just absolutely loved it. We made friends with the stray cats on the island and named one of them Billy Pickles, who would sit on our lap. He was so lovely, and I get so sad when I think of the fact that he's just there crying out at the villa. Like, hopefully other people have looked after him and stuff, but he was just such a lovely little cat, and we really enjoyed having all the cats be part of our holiday, but he especially was just a lovely little bean. Anyway, it was such a nice trip. It was really weird actually going in October, because it really messed with your brain with the seasons, because you've got the early evenings, like the sun is setting earlier, but the days are still like 24, 25 degrees. And then you come back to horrible rainy autumn in England, And I mean, I like autumn, it's cozy, but it's also just grim weather most of the time, isn't it? And it was just a real flip, and we didn't really get that transition in between autumn and winter, summer and autumn rather. We did say afterwards from December that it felt like we'd switched our seasons around and that we'd had our summer later. So Christmas really felt like it crept up out of the blue, not just in the normal way that it does tend to, but because we felt like October wasn't October. So that was really confusing, but it was such a good trip. And again, so glad that I did that. In terms of my travel plans for 2025, as I've mentioned, I do hope to do another road trip in Europe. I have a couple of opportunities and potential things lined up that might happen. I'm basically just putting every bit of spare cash that I can into a little pot in my bank account that will sit there for travel funds, and basically just to be able to just say, should we go here, and just go for it, because I just am in the mindset at the moment. I want to see everything, I want to do everything, I just want to experience as much in this life as I possibly can. I don't want to have any regrets for not seeing things. I just want to do things, I want to see things, I want to enjoy and experience things and laugh a lot and smile a lot whilst doing it. So basically travel plans for the next year are just to do as much as I possibly can and enjoy it and have a good time and appreciate every second of it. I don't have anything booked in yet to tell you about, but I will be doing trips this year. One of the things I'm really hoping to do as well potentially this year is go to Ireland. I've never been. It's so close and I have never been, and it looks so beautiful. So I would really love to do that. It is also my 30th birthday this year in July, and I would love to do something bigger for that. I don't know what, but that would be cool. I don't know whether that would be a trip or not, but that's also a potential. So that's the kind of upcoming, I don't really have any upcoming plans, do I? But, you know, those are the kind of the hopes and goals for the year. Speaking of goals, let's look back at my 2024 reading goal. So I set a reading goal of one book, and I've done this for a few years now because it really takes the pressure off. I read because I love it, but I also create content about books, and that adds a different element to the enjoyment of the reading. And I can put a lot of pressure on myself there. And I think a few years ago, I was trying to read as much as I physically could. And obviously any reader that loves reading always wants to read as much as they physically can, because you want to consume as many books as you can. But I was starting to feel that that became quite overwhelming for me. And going into 2024, I consciously knew I wanted to slow down with what I was reading and feel that I could take my time and I didn't have to try and push myself too much with it, but while still trying to read for content and also for enjoyment. You know, there's always going to be a little bit of pressure, and there's always going to be challenges that I set and things for fun, and I do enjoy doing those kind of things, but I wanted to slow down and I wanted to release that pressure a bit, which is why for the last few years my reading goal has been set to 1. So you'll be thrilled to hear I completed my 1 book reading goal, and I read a total of 74 books. This is the lowest amount of books I have read for quite a few years. However, when I look at the ratings and the amount of enjoyment that I've got from those books, I think it is higher than in previous years. So I'm pretty happy with it. And I think I've read a real mix of different books this last year that have pushed me into different areas of enjoying different genres, of enjoying different stories, and trying to push my reading comfort zone, and I think I've managed to do that. So 74 books read in 2024. I'm going to move to the side so I can use this part of the screen to put up some graphics from Storygraph. So these are going to be some of my stats over the last year of my reading. I've got to open on my computer screen if I'm looking over here, but of the 74 books read, that is a total of 26,875 pages, and the average time to finish a book is 9 days. I used to have like an average time of about 4 days to finish a book, and that is obviously very much an average. Like some books are going to be a lot quicker than that, but I think that that shows that the goal I set out for this last year was to slow down, and that clearly shows that I have been able to do that and take a little bit more time reading. And that'll vary, you know, it depends on the book, it depends on the intensity of that book and whether I need to finish it immediately. When I was away on holiday in Cyprus, I was reading a lot quicker, whereas when I was in Europe doing that road trip, I was reading slower because I wasn't really sat down reading as much. So, you know, it varies as to where I am, but I'm quite pleased with that, to be honest. I think that that's allowed me to think about things a little bit differently. The moods, I always find this really interesting. So, as you can see from this graph, most of the books I'm reading are dark and mysterious, which I wouldn't have picked those as the moods, but we also have tense, emotional, adventurous, and then funny as well. Am I okay? Like, most of the books are dark, mysterious, and tense and emotional. I wouldn't have picked that as the leading emotions, but okay. I am mostly reading chunkier books as well, which I didn't necessarily expect. 72% of the books that I'm reading are 300 to 499 pages, which I really didn't think that I would read that many more chunky books than smaller, which is under 300 pages is 20% of the books that I'm reading. Over 500 pages is 8%. So like I know that's like the real chunky books, but still like that's 72% of the books that I'm reading. I mean, how big is that? Like that for 500 pages? I don't know. I'm pleased with that. I'll take that. I'll take it. The genres. I am always a bit unsure as to how accurate these are, because as an example, it puts young adult as a genre. That's not a genre, that's an age group, but that's fine. So most of the books that I've read, 23 of the books that I've read are contemporary, 21 are thrillers, 19 are literary, 15 fantasy, 15 romance. See, this is where I get confused with it. Like, is it putting multiple books under multiple genres? And if so, is that meaning that if I'm reading a contemporary that has romance in it, is that crossing both genres? I assume. I don't know. Maybe it isn't doing. I don't know. I mean, I could sit here and add up all the book numbers, but I'm not going to do that. The main thing here is that most of the books that I'm reading are contemporary, thrillers, literary, fantasy. And I'm not going to say romance because I don't think I'm specifically reading romance books. I think I'm reading books that have romance in them as a part of another part of the genre. So I'm going to kind of group that with the other genres that I've just said. This graph here, I think, shows that what I set out to achieve over this last reading year has been achieved. Like I don't set myself specific set goals. I'll go into that more in a little bit, but I kind of give myself like vibes. I don't know a less bollocksy way to say it, but I want to enjoy what I'm reading, and I wanted to slow down with my reading. And I think the fact that my average rating is 4.07 stars shows that that has resulted in me enjoying more of the books that I'm reading, and I am curating my tastes more to be able to know and pick the books that I think I'm more likely to enjoy. Yes, there are going to be ones mixed in there that I didn't enjoy so much, but that is just how it works, isn't it? Like, you can think a book is going to be your absolute favourite of all time and then end up DNFing it or end up not liking it. So I think having around a 4-star average, I'm pretty pleased with that. I can't remember what it's been in previous years. I could just look. I'm going to look. Hang on. Also, just for those stats, that's 23 books that I've rated 4 stars. I've rated 11 books 5 stars, 18 4.5, 23 4, 16 books 3.5, 5 books 3 stars, and 1 book 2.5. I guess I didn't rate anything below a 2.5 stars this year. Okay, so last year my average rating, I'm getting confused with what years I'm talking about. In 2023, my average rating was 3.9 stars. So like barely lower than that. And the same actually for the year before. So I had 29 4 stars, 23.5, but I had 105 books read, so the stats are going to be a little bit different. It is interesting to see how it changes. I mean, generally I seem to be between a 3 and a 4 as an average rating. The year before that was 3.8 as an average rating. I rated 37 books 3 stars and 64 4 stars, but I read 130 books that year. So, it's interesting to see the difference, I think. Ooh, I can see all time. Sorry, you can't see my screen right now. But hang on, I can see my all-time ratings. Okay, all-time, my average rating of all time is 3.84. I have in total rated 184 books 3 stars, 272 books 4 stars, and 163 books 5 stars. I mean, for a lifetime, bear in mind I didn't log my reading before I think before 2013, I didn't log it, so there isn't any record of anything I've read before that point. I think I might have gone back and tried to add things in retrospectively, but that is quite a tricky job. But for 12 years of reading-ish, we're going to call that loosely 12 years, to have only had 163 5 stars across what is apparently 789 books. I don't know, is that a good stat? I don't know. I mean, I want to love every book that I'm reading. Obviously, I want every book to be a 5-star, but that is not going to be the case. 163 out of 789. I mean, we'll see what that number becomes in 2025. Okay, I'm going to scoot back over here now. So, let's whiz through the 5-star books that I have read this year. We've just learnt there's 11, I think. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11. Yes, there is 11. I am going to just whiz through these because you've probably seen me talk about these in other videos a lot. I love them because they're on my 5-star list. And I'm actually looking at one of them specifically and I'm like, I don't think you are a 5-star anymore. I think it's one of those retrospective, like, would I go back and change that rating? Probably yes, but it's on the list now, so we'll talk about why when I hold it up. This is in order of when I read the books. So the first one I'll show you will be a book, was it January, February I finished it? I think February. So we're going down from the start of 2024 towards the end. Okay, this first one, I think it's going to be a little bit of an unpopular opinion. Jesus, it's massive. House of Flame and Shadow, Sarah J Maas. I loved it. I really, really loved it. This was fun. It was exciting. It captivated me. I really enjoy so many of the characters in this series. It was a good time. I know a lot of people didn't like this, and I know a lot of people were disappointed by it, but for me, I just had a really fun and exciting time with it, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, this one was my first 5-star read of the year. This next one, I think really I would change my mind on this now, but this is the reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. At the time, I found this really engaging, really good fun, and it completely captivated me. Looking back on it, I see more of the flaws in it. However, at the time, I felt I was swept away in the story, and I think that that is why it sits at that 5 stars for me, because it was just the general enjoyment of it and the way it made me feel and how excited I was to keep turning the pages and the goosebumpy type of feeling that this gave. So it's on the list as a 5-star. I don't know really if it remains as a 5-star, but we'll keep it on there. The Gentleman from Peru by Andre Asserman. I am actually really surprised that this one made it on the 5-star list, but this one, I don't even know what it was about this. I think it just captivated me with the setting and the writing style, and it just made me want to be on holiday, and it gave me that atmosphere, and it was really intriguing and interesting and quite strange in places as well. And I really love the cover. Not that that is obviously any mark on it getting a 5 stars, but the cover makes me very happy. I think this probably was one of those cases where it hit me at the perfect time, and that really helped. Battle Royale by Koshan Takami. I loved this book so much. This is so fun. It's so chaotic. It's such a mess. It's a load of people killing each other, basically. This was just so exciting and thrilling and dark and tense, and you just didn't know what was going to happen next, and it just kept pushing you along and along and along. There's so many characters in this, but it never feels too overwhelming with it, and it was just a really fun reading experience. It sounds so morbid because of the nature of what this book is about, but clearly I loved it. Blue Sisters by Coco Malors. I think this one, when I think about my best books of the year, this is one of the ones that immediately comes to mind. This was just so brilliant. Seeing the story of these sisters dealing with their grief and trying to live their lives and being so different from each other as well. I just found it such an interesting reading experience and a really beautifully written story as well. It really captivates you, this one, and really, really tugs at the heartstrings, and also just shows you something raw and real, which I really liked about it. Experienced by Kate Young. This one, again, perfect timing. This is set in Bristol. I loved reading about the Bristol setting. It's somewhere that I go to, I won't say quite often, but like it's not somewhere that's too far away from me, so it's somewhere I'm semi-familiar with. And I loved that this broke down so many barriers and taboos and was just so sex positive and wrote brilliant sex scenes. Like, this just felt like such a sexy book and a real empowering book about self-discovery and looking out for yourself and putting yourself first and trying to see what it is you want from life and grab and capture that. And I loved it. I had such a good time with it. It was immaculate vibes, brilliant characters, and just really, really sexy. One Day by David Nichols, I knew would break me. It did break me. I love the TV show. I think that I enjoyed the film when it came out. I can't really remember the film. I feel I need to rewatch it, but the TV show was just so perfect. And now, having read the book, which I don't often watch something then read it, I much prefer to read it than watch it, but I just got captivated with that TV show immediately. Having now read the book, I can just see how well done the TV show is. The parallels are so accurate, and the casting, so good. Like, the book, David Nichols. I loved it. I've actually read 3 David Nichols books this year, which really wasn't deliberate. I read You Were Here at the start of the year, then I read One Day, and then I read Us. I didn't really like Us quite so much, but I did enjoy You Were Here, and obviously I loved One Day. Just brilliant. no notes. Absolutely gorgeous and beautiful and ripped my heart apart, and I would definitely reread it and go through all of that again. I was on a bit of a roll of 5-star reads when I read One Day, because then I read Wish You Were Here by Jodi Pickle and gave that a 5 stars immediately after reading One Day. This is brilliant. It's the first COVID book that I have read, and I didn't know how I'd feel about that, but I think that it did it in a really well done way, and also incorporated a travel element into it, and again a kind of self-discovery and changing your life type of book. And I love those kind of books because they motivate me and they make me think that I too can go on this journey and do all these things, and I love it when a book can do that. The fact that words can just encourage you and motivate you to make a difference in your own life is a pretty powerful thing. What You're Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Oyama and translated by Alison Watts was a beautiful translated fiction following multiple different characters who all kind of need something in their life, and this librarian is able to offer them the kind of push towards what that might be. I just love it. It's kind of fable-esque and just really beautiful, and all these different characters' lives and stories, and you get to see the beauty in each of their stories and how this librarian is able to help them. Sorry if you can hear that plane. I don't know if my mic will be picking that up. That is low. It's just gorgeous, and I love the library setting, and I loved meeting all the different characters, and I really found it very calming. It felt like just a really soothing reading experience, and has really still stuck with me after finishing it. A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Backman. I put off reading this book for a long time. And then I finally picked it up, and it was pretty emotional. It's the beauty of life and how you can touch other people's lives and how you can benefit other people's lives, and the power that you have as a human being to be able to do that and to be able to pick to be a good person. And just, I just thought this was gorgeous. I really, really did. And I watched the Tom Hanks film. I know there's another film version out as well that I think I need to find, but I thought the film did a really good job of it as well. It definitely changed quite a lot of things because it Americanized it, but I think it did a really lovely job of portraying that story, and I just, it was really special. And the final book that I rated 5 stars in 2024 was Talking at Night by Claire Daverley. This one was kind of pitched to me as being a little bit One Day-esque, and I think that was a pretty accurate description of it. It had that journey through lives and a will they won't they kind of element to a friendship between two people, and I love books that bring you across people's lives. I love when you get to see the characters developing with you as your reading experience develops of the book, and I love the way that this did that. And again, a pretty emotional reading experience. It really throws you and batters you in all different directions at multiple different parts of this book. But I think it was brilliant. I think the award for best book of 2025 has to go to One Day by David Nichols. Whenever I think about the last year of reading and I think about the books I've read, this is the first one I think about every single time. I think other ones that are quite close to being up there with the top would be Blue Sisters and Wish You Were Here, and any of the other ones on the stack. I think those three, Wish You Were Here, Blue Sisters and One Day, are in the top 3, but One Day, it gets the top spot. It was absolutely brilliant and probably sits now as one of my favourite books of all time. If you've managed to make it this far into the video and you are still watching, thank you very much. Congratulations. We're going to just touch on my 2025 goals before I wrap up this video. I always think about goals and what mindset I want to go into the new year with. I mentioned the word vibes earlier. I think that's very much become the way I try and think about each year now. I saw somebody describe it as a vision board, like have a vision board for your year ahead, as opposed to making it like specific set measurable goals. And I like the idea of that better. I think goals definitely work for some people, but for me, I struggle to maintain the goals that I set for myself, especially when it comes to New Year's resolutions. I find that, isn't it like most New Year's resolutions are dropped by February? I don't want to create a goal that ends up becoming something that, I did for like a month. And I wouldn't go into a goal with that mindset. It's not like I'm trying to defeat the goal before I've even started it, but I think for me personally, it doesn't work. And one of the big things I've realised about myself in the last few years, and we'll get a little bit deep here, is I used to set myself a lot of rules and a lot of expectations on myself for no reason at all. I would set myself silly little rules that were all over my brain at all times. I have OCD, and that comes with a need for control. And I think that what I try to do over years and years and years and years of my life is set myself all these invisible rules to control myself, which is so messed up in my head, because Why do I need to? You know, like, yes, there are rules in life because that they need to be there. There are certainly reasons for rules. However, restricting yourself and setting yourself your own rules, just, it didn't work for me. I was finding that I became really bored with the repetition of my life. I became bored with myself and annoyed with myself for all of these things that I was kind of telling myself in my own brain. So for me, the setting of goals accompanies that idea of creating rules for myself, and I just can't do that. And I think that it's taken recent years where I've tried to push myself out of my comfort zone a lot more and have successfully done so, and have broken down some of these barriers I've created in my brain for certain things in my life, to kind of realise that let's just go with a vibe. Let's go with a vision board. Let's think about who I want to be as a person over the next year. So, for my 2025 goals, we're going to call it a vision board. My 2025 vision board. And what is on that vision board is laughter and happiness. I entered the new year, as it hit midnight, hysterically laughing because my friend and I got a bubble machine. You're going to be seeing this very briefly in a vlog coming soon. He told me he got a surprise that he was going to bring over for New Year's and would not give me any hints. And I was like, right, okay, great. Comes around with 2 bubble machines. Little red things that just fire bubbles into the air. And it was great. It was ridiculous. So when it hit midnight, we turned the bubble machines on, like 10, 9, 8, you know, we counted down, had the bubble machines going. We had so many bubbles that he, like, inhaled some bubbles, and he's fine. It's fine. I'm allowed to laugh because it was so funny because he started, like, just kind of spluttering on them, and he was laughing and I was laughing, and I just entered the new year hysterically laughing. What better way is there to start a new year than being in absolute fits of laughter? It was great. So that's how I started my 2025. That is the main part of this vision board that we're moving forward with. I want to laugh and I want to smile. My reading goal, again, is going to be 1 book, which I'm sure I will probably hit in the next few days. I think that's working well for me. I don't see the need to do it in any other way. But just generally, I just want to have fun with everything. I think that I'm a weird contradiction of both silliness and seriousness, which confuses me very much. As a child, I was very playful and fun and creative, but I was also very serious with things, and my mum would always tell me that, like, I would have this kind of serious concentration face. And I think as an adult I still have that balance. I can be really ridiculously stupid and silly, especially with my friends, and I suppose, like, you can kind of get flickers of silliness in videos and stuff, but because it's curated and content where I'm sat down filming most of the time, and obviously I'm filming anytime you're seeing it because I have to film for you to see it, but basically, you know, you're seeing a filmed version of me, and that is a very similar version of me that you would get in real life. I try to be similar, but you're not getting everything because it's filmed. And I, as an adult, am still silly and have fun, silly times, but I also feel like my brain, again, with this rule setting and stuff, can still be really serious with stuff. And I find that quite tricky when it comes to content, because I set myself all these expectations with my content, and I can be really picky with what I do and how I feel the video comes across. And I think sometimes that can make it less fun. So I want to be sillier. I want to have more fun with things. I want to break down barriers of what is needed from my content and what I need to create and how I need to go about creating that. And I just want to enjoy it. And, like, if something isn't quite up to perfection, that's fine. Like, you know, I've posted a lot of videos over the last year that haven't been, like, absolutely top perfection level. And I think that there are some people that do these videos that's like how to grow on YouTube and how to create good content. And it's like, you know, post your best work. And if you're not happy with it, why are you posting it and stuff? And, like, I wouldn't post something if I wasn't happy with it, but, like, sometimes it's okay to post something that was like 80%, not 100%, you know? And I think that I need to remind myself that I can just be a bit silly and I can mess up on camera and it's okay. Like, you know, there's a lot of clips that you would have seen in vlogs where I stumble over my words, and I still use that footage, and I'm just trying to be more relaxed with that. And not just that, like, that's probably a poor example, but it's really tricky when you edit yourself and you're seeing yourself on, like, a daily basis, and you can pick flaws in your appearance, you can pick flaws in the way you speak and say things and the lines you have said, and it really doesn't matter. In the grand scheme of life, it really doesn't matter. I'm creating content because it's fun, and hopefully you guys enjoy watching it, even these ridiculously long videos where I wrap up my year. We're just having a chat, really. That's what this is. But I don't even know what this kind of vision is. I don't know what the point of this, what I'm even saying is, but I think that I want to be more relaxed when it comes to my content. I want to be happier and having fun with what I'm doing and feel like there are no rules for what I'm creating, and I don't need to be scared about anything because there aren't any rules. There's nothing to be worried about with it. And, you know, content, it can be there forever if you want it to be. You know, you can upload a video and it can just stay there for years and years and years. But if you reach a year in and you're like, you know what, I don't think that video best represents what I want to be representing, you can just take it down. Like, that's fine too. So just generally being a bit more chill with that kind of thing. And I don't think I'm ever going to not be both silly and serious at the same time. And that is a weird mix. And I don't know which one. Some days the silliness wins out, some days the serious. Maybe it's not as much serious, but it is this need to control. I think that is it. With the linking with my OCD and stuff, I think I do have this need to have this control over things, and maybe that's been misconstrued in my brain for being serious. But, you know, they're always going to be there. That's fine. That's what my brain is like. I'm not going to try and remove or break those things because they work in harmony together. And all right, sometimes it's a bit annoying, but most of the time it's good. It's all good. It's fine. Anyway, what do we have on the vision board? Laughter, smiling, happiness, trying to just have a little bit more fun and being a little bit sillier with the content and not feeling like I need to be so serious to it. Also, just generally dropping the rules for myself. We'll continue that one. I've kind of been doing that in 2024 and I want to continue that in 2025. There's no rules. I don't need to put myself in this box. I don't need to trap myself in this invisible comfort zone that isn't even my comfort zone. I just think it should be. I want to have more fun with doing things outside of that. One book. That's the goal. One book this year would be great. And travel loads, see everything, do everything, have a good time, and just experience and enjoy as much as possible. You know, I think I'd love to be somebody that was like making the most of every single minute of every single day, but I just don't think that's realistic. Like, at the end of the day, I work a lot. I work 4 different jobs. I am going to be a lot of the time sat at my desk doing work, and some of those jobs do take me to various different locations to do work, which is great fun as well because it gets me out, and I'm definitely extroverted if you couldn't tell. I like being out, I like chatting, and I like being around people, and I don't always get that with my jobs, but when I do, I get to really appreciate that. But I think it's really tricky to make the most of every single moment, and even sometimes every single day, but I want to try and be grateful for those days and maybe not waste them sat doom scrolling on social media. Sometimes you need it. Sometimes you need a little bit of downtime, and that is that downtime, but that would be nice as well. I don't even know. This is just a cluster of my thoughts being thrown at you, but it's good little catch-up chat thing. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Oh, now the gardeners start up just as I'm finishing filming. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you will enjoy my 2025 videos that I have to come. There's lots of exciting fun ones. There's some rather ridiculous ones coming your way that I'm quite excited about. I am very much looking forward to continuing to share content with you in 2025. Thank you so much for supporting me and watching my videos up until this point, especially if you got to the end of this one. I've been talking a load of shit, but hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Hello? Did you think you got rid of me? No. I just imported all the footage and realised there's 2 things I forgot to tell you about. One, my trip to Wales. I was like, what? I'm missing a trip. I went to Wales. I went to Wales to see my friend Kel. We went to Hay-on-Wye, which was my second visit there. It's the town of books. There's loads of books. It's a town filled with books. It's great. I love it very much. And I loved seeing Kel. So I also went to Wales. See, I did so many things that I got lost in what I was saying. So Wales. I did Wales. Also, the other thing was something I forgot to say about kind of a mindset I want to take into 2025. And I thought, well, do I need to bother to add this in, or should we just leave it? But I think it's an important one because I think it's one that maybe other people, I don't know if it's like something people need a reminder of, but whatever. Anyway, we'll go into it briefly because you've already been here for long enough. So one of the things for me that I've noticed over the last year is something I don't want to keep doing is that I tie my worth, partly, not my whole worth, not my entire being, but I tie some of my success to numbers on a social media post or a YouTube video, and that is sucky. And I don't want to do that anymore. It's difficult when you take time and energy and effort and put it into something that you've created and it doesn't do as well as you thought. And that can be really frustrating and it can make you feel shit, especially if what it actually does is you see reduced numbers and people losing followers, as opposed to gaining and gaining views and audiences. And that can feel a little bit shitty. And I don't need to hold my worth to that because I can't control an algorithm. I put my all into making my content and I really enjoy making it. And as I've spoken already about, I want to feel like I could be a bit freer with that. So, you know, sod the algorithm. You can't predict. You can't predict what's going to do well and what isn't. You can kind of see, okay, last time I did a video like this, it performed really well. Like, I know my unhauls will do fairly well. I know that any kind of decluttery, clear out, get my life on track type of videos tend to perform quite well. You know, I can see that, but random vlogs, I can't predict it. I don't know what this video is going to do. I don't know what I've got tomorrow. At the time of filming this, in fact, yesterday when this is live, it is 9 years of Book's Nest, which is exciting. I've made a post that will go out tomorrow on my Instagram. I could not tell you if that post is going to get 500 likes or 5,000 likes or anywhere in between. Like, I have no idea. And do you know what? It doesn't bloody matter because it's a computer controlled algorithm on all platforms that is very clever and very smart. And if that algorithm doesn't show your stuff to the exact right people and it doesn't do as well, that does not mean it wasn't good. That does not mean that even if one person watched it and it massively connected with them and it made them smile and it made them laugh, that is bloody worth it. Like, create content because you love it. And I think that was kind of, this is why I wanted to add this in, because I spoke about wanting to be a bit freer and wanting to kind of remove the rules that I create for myself, and especially when it comes to like content and things, and involving less restrictions for myself that are unspoken stuff. But you know, I want to do more of that. And I think that that reinstates the fact that you have to enjoy and love what you're creating, because otherwise what's the point? Like, if you make a video just for an algorithm and then it flops, it's not fun. It's not fun. Whereas if you go out and you do something ridiculous and it's brilliant and stupid and fun and then it flops, you had fun filming it. You had fun making or taking the photo or recording the podcast, like whatever it is. Do not allow yourself to be sucked in to this very confusing algorithm. Nobody fully understands it. It's my job to try and understand it. I'm a social media manager for a marketing agency. I don't even fully understand it. Please keep me employed, work. But like, it's always changing. It's always changing. It's so difficult and it can be so easy to tie your worth to those numbers, and I do it so much. And I hate that I do that, because sod it, it doesn't matter. If I have enjoyed creating it, if I think it's fun and I think it's silly, and if 5 people have thought the same thing, then that is worth it. I create to entertain and because I love it, and that is that. And I just wanted to add that in. Also, one more thing I just wanted to add in quickly. Wow, can you tell that I have ADHD? One more thing is another win that I had last year, 2024, that I didn't talk about at all is, well, did I? No, I don't think I did. Wedding photography. I started my own wedding photography business. I photographed over 10 weddings, maybe over 10, around 10 weddings last year. And I've got weddings booked in for this year and next year, which is really friggin' exciting. So that's something I did, and I'm really proud of myself for. If you'd like to book me, do pop me a message. I am available. But that's something else. So I really am done now. Sorry. Enjoy. See you in the next one.